Hello, my name is Viviana Soto, and I will be discussing an article based on the role of Western honeybees in the natural habitats. So the Western honeybees are referred to Apis mellifera. Hello, my name is Viviana Soto, and my article paper is based on the role of Western honeybees in natural habitats. So the Western honeybee is referred to as Apis mellifera. It is the most common floral visitor to crops globally. Yet its role in natural habitats is under-researched. The data in the study analyzes 80 plant pollinators to network and evaluates its effectiveness. A mellifera across 34 plant species. So finding reveals that A mellifera accounts with an average of 13% of floral visits in natural settings, with some plant species relying on exclusively on it. But however, there is a 30% chance of the network and 49% of species, A. mellifera was not observed at all, indicating reliance on other pollinators as well, not just honeybees. So the introduction. This article emphasizes the crucial yet often overlooked role of Western honeybees, which are also referred to Apis mellifera, in natural ecosystems. Beyond its significant contributions to agriculture, it also highlights urgent need to understand A. mellifera's impact on pollination in nature, particularly as other pollinator populations decline and bees colonies face challenges. So I don't know if you might have heard that the bees, their existence um, is on a decline right now. So we in this article, they analyze global pollination data, and the study also reveals how A. mellifera supports ecosystems, interacts with native pollinators. This is important because it's vital information to help inform us of conservation efforts and help us with our understanding of the environmental protection strategies that we can take. So King Lu James Hung is an assistant professor of the biology at the University of Oklahoma, which is where is who I read this article on. He does hold a PhD from the University of California, San Diego, and a bachelor's from Dartmouth College. His research examines the effect of environmental challenges on plant-pollinator interactions, pollinator conservations, and the impact of invasive species and climate change on ecology. His notable contributions include studying drought and habitat fragmentation on bee population, as well as ecological effect of non-native bees in biodiversity hotspots. So this study stood out to me, and I was looking at articles and I saw something on bees, and recently, like a couple of days before, I had actually watched a movie called The Beekeeper. I don't know if you guys might have seen it, and it doesn't really have anything like based on bees, but I found it interesting because it was basically a person who worked for the government, but like his cover was a beekeeper. And as I read more into this article, I don't know, it just brought my attention and it showed me the environmental challenges that bees do face. And it made me want to get a better understanding of the pollinator roles in the ecosystem and the strategies that these organisms play in our ecosystems that are very much important. So the methodology. The study compiled a data set of pollination network through literature searches and database downloads, focusing on data from August 2016 and December 2014. It also included networks from natural habitats, the observations on 5 or more plant species, and a variety of pollinators. Research gathered geographical, pollination, and bioclimatical data using GIS analysis for added insight. The methodology did provide comprehensive data, and future improvements could involve updating with more recent studies would also be helpful, also including managed honeybee data and standardizing methods to minimize discrepancies across the research. So the strengths I found were the comprehensive data collection from multiple sources, so they didn't just focus on one place. And it was clear criteria for inclusion of natural habitats and network composition. So it was not just one type of natural habitat. They also looked at other types, it just had different types of settings. And it was detailed metrics on pollination activity. So they showed like the overall results of the type of pollination that was included in that habitat. The weakness and potential improvements that could have been made is addressing temporal variations in pollinator activity, also including networks influenced by managed colonies, so different types of colonies of bees, and filling in some regional gaps in data coverage, and standardizing data collection methods across the study. Overall, the methodology is strong for large scale ecological analysis, but could be improved to make it more reliable and hoping to get a better outlook on the ecological analysis. So the results, the study found that Apis mellifera, which are honeybees, was present in 88.89% of pollination networks in its native range and 61.29% in the introduced range. Overall, it accounted for an average of 12.64 of floral visitations, increasing to 18.72 in networks where it was present. Mellifera was most frequent visitors in 17 networks and visited the most plant species in 14 networks. While it was the sole visitor to 4.48 of plant taxa and the majority visitor to 17.28%. It did not visit nearly half, which was about 49.38% of the plants that were surveyed. So here I have a map, and it shows the proportion of all the floral visits contributed to Western honeybees and the 80 plant pollinators that interacted in the natural habitats. So it was generally, you could see the species was more towards Europe and the Middle East and Africa, and it was compared to being introduced everywhere else. So the orange part would show where the honeybees were, and these green parts are all the other floral visitors. So environmental correlates Apis mellifera visitation frequency. The study used a zero-inflated multiple beta regression model to analyze factors affecting A. mellifera visitation. It found that honeybees visits increased with higher temperatures. So the higher the temperature was, the higher honeybees were visiting. Lower annual temperature ranges reduced seasonality. So the colder it was, they weren't as common to visit. Additionally, visitation was more frequent to mainland networks than on the island. So the native status of A. mellifera did not significantly impact visitation rates. Notably, 8 of the 10 networks with the highest visitation rates were introduced ranges, with 5 networks seeing A. mellifera account for overall than half of total visits. So the pollination effectiveness. It surveyed on a single visit pollinator effectiveness revealed that A. mellifera effectiveness is comparable to the average non-A. mellifera visitors, achieving 90.1% of the effectiveness. However, it was generally less effective than the top non-A. mellifera visitors as 75.6% of the effectiveness. Additionally, there was not a significant difference in A. mellifera effectiveness between non-archaeological and archaeological plant species. So the statistical method. A literature survey on a single visit pollinator effectiveness found that Apis mellifera is about 90.1% as effectiveness as other pollinators, with no significant difference. However, it was less effective with the best non-A mellifera pollinators achieving only 75.6 of their effectiveness. There was no significant difference in A mellifera effectiveness between non-archaeological and archaeological plants when compared to both average and top non-A mellifera visitors. So these are the summary key points that I found from that other bit of slides. A mellifera was widely present in both native and introduced ranges, but with higher visitation in native networks. Environmental factors like temperature and geographical locations, such as the mainland versus islands, influence the visitation rates. The A mellifera pollination effectiveness was generally lowered compared to the most effective non-mellifera visitors, though it did not differ significantly from an average non-A mellifera visitor. And the presence and effectiveness of A mellifera was consistent across non-archaeological and archaeological environments. So I'm going to move on to the discussion. The discussion section highlights the vital role of the honeybees, which is the Apis mellifera, as a floral visitor globally. It is the most important pollinator due to its widespread presence, availability to visit diverse flowers, and effectiveness in pollination. The results indicate that honeybees dominate pollination networks, surpassing even bumblebees, which are referred to as bombus, in the number of the flower visits. Apis mellifera contributes to an average of 13.79% of floral visits across the networks, more than double of the bumblebees, which is only 6.26%. The positions A mellifera as the most important pollinators in natural habitats worldwide, underscoring its significant environmental impacts. Its widespread presence and frequent floral visits influence plant pollinators' interactions, potentially affecting plants' reproduction and evolution over time. Although honeybees, Apis mellifera can visit flower types that often focus on limited number of insect pollinated plants in networks where honeybees are primary visitors, and 16% of plants species receive less than 10% of the visits from them. This indicates that while honeybees are important pollinators, they do not equally visit all plant species. Consequently, a diversity of other pollinators is essential to ensure effective pollination across various plants, maintaining healthy and functioning ecosystems. So it's important that we also have and take care of other pollinators that help the flowers that the honeybees may not visit. This is the impact of co-occurring pollinators. The large populations of honeybees can outcompete other pollinators, affecting their behavior and health. This is particularly significant in areas where honeybees are not native. So the places where honeybees don't visit, it's important that we take care of the other pollinators, as they disrupt natural relationships between local plants and their pollinators. Therefore, monitoring and managing honeybee populations is essential to protect local ecosystems and support native pollinators that are adapted to certain environments. Visitation and pollination effectiveness. The study found that frequency of honeybees visits to flowers is a good indicator of the importance of pollinators. However, they are not always effective with certain plant types, and excessive visits could harm plant reproduction. So if the bees are visiting the flower like a little too much, it harms the plant. To better understand the effectiveness, further research is needed on how honeybees pollinate different species. This will help clarify certain roles and identify any negative impacts for too many frequent visits. So this is the recommendation I have for future research. The pollinator effectiveness of studies, where the research could show the effect of honeybees when they visit different types of plants, and we will give a better understanding of their role in different environments. Also, the impact of introduced populations. We could study how honeybees populations affect local pollinators, and plants can help us understand if they compete or replace native species. So maybe if we introduce a honeybee to a certain species, it could harm the other pollinators that are already present in that ecosystem. It could help minimize the negative effects that honeybees may also bring to our ecosystem when they're affecting other pollinators. And the diversity of pollinator communities. It's not just important to just protect and promote a variety of pollinators. So we have to help all different type of pollinators. And the diversity ensures that a wide range of plants gets pollinated, which is crucial to help our ecosystem be taken care of. Thank you.